So, hi, it's T with Teaquilts, and today is May 30th, 2018. And if you are viewing this at any other time than May 30th, 2018 at 7 p.m. USA Central Standard Time, this has been an upload of a live recording. So I just want to always put the date up at the beginning for those that watch the upload. You can still ask any questions you may have under this video. Just know that I won't be replying to you right away. I'll get notification of those questions. And we are just going to wait for people to come in to the room. We have about a minute until official start time. I see we got Marjorie Blackwell here. Hi, Marjorie. Welcome to the live chat. Got Sarah Ragland. Hi, Sarah. She says hi, T and everyone. Got Darlene Former says greetings from Northern Virginia. Debbie Williams says hello, T. So hello to you too, Debbie. And we are getting people into the room. We got Kaylin of Stitched Art Studio. She says hi, T and everyone. Going to sit and enjoy this show and do some more hand binding. That's an excellent time to do hand work. And we got Claudette Bettis here. Hi, Claudette. Welcome to the live chat. She says, hi, T. Claudette here from Anaheim. We have Patty Spencer here from Northern California. She says, hi. Hi, Patty. And Bonita is here. She says, hi, Miss T. Got Rose Walls here, says hi from Indiana. I'm here for a bit, but not sure how long. Hi, Rose. I'm glad you made part of a live viewing. We got Mary Bishop here from Texas. Hi, Mary. Liz is here. Hi, Liz. She says hi, everyone. Got Gloria McGee here from Chatham, Ontario. Linda DeVito is here. Glad I'm on time for once. Love your tutorials. Thank you, Linda. And everyone, welcome to the chats. I still see where the number is increasing, so I'll wait just a few more seconds before we get started. And I have some basic things I'm going to be going through first anyway. So we got Elaine here from Northern Quebec. Hey, welcome. Got Mary Johnson here. So I have my laptop over to this side, and that's where I'm reading my comments from. So we have Mary Johnson here. She says, hi, T, from the village of Luckett's in Northern Virginia. I probably walked right by you at AQS in Paducah and didn't realize it. That's pretty funny. We got Robin from RS Islands Craft. She says, hey, everyone. And we've got Sharon Martin here. Say hello, my lovely friends. Hi, Sharon. So, few things in the chat box for the new people here today. As I'm talking, if you have anything you have or need more questions about or need something more specific, or you want to ask me a question or give your advice, you can type it into the chat box as we go along. I will probably be reading those after the fact, so I may be asking you to clarify if I can't remember exactly everything that's going on here. And also, once I get into the actual topics tonight, you can also leave your opinion and advice on anything as well. So just want to let the new people know you can interact with me as we go. We got Elaine Fortis from KC, Missouri. She says evening. And Sharon Martin is here saying thumbs up, everyone. And that is also on my list of to-dos. Please thumbs up the video. Also, if you have any quilting guilds or groups that look at YouTube videos, please share my channel with your friends as well. I would appreciate that. I have an announcement from the Quilting Marine site. He's on YouTube. It's called The Quilting Marine. And Mark is doing a veterans project where he is accepting 10.5-inch blocks, and from Memorial Day through July 4th. So you can do any block that you like, any style that you like, and then you can send it to him. And he has, I'm just going to read his information here just in case you're not a subscriber but want to participate. His name is Mark Darrell. The P.O. Box is 2045, Mableton, Georgia. Zip code is 63126. So if you're interested in doing that, helping out with some veterans quilts for charity, please do so. I highly encourage you to do some charity projects. I do a minimum of 2 quilts per year. I do at least 1 for each quilt guild every year. And maybe I'm thinking about doing a Teaquilts charity event that may start sometime in September. So keep that in mind as well. My weekly update. What did I do in the last week? The last week I prepared for a retreat after we had our last live viewing, and then actually went on retreat. Went from Friday through Sunday evening, and then I had Memorial Day with my family, and then had a dental appointment. I had a 8:30 a.m. dental appointment that I figured would be an hour. I always put myself on the hygienist schedule to get my cleanings for my 6-month checkup, and ended up was there for 3 hours and then another hour to get prescriptions filled. So that was my drama for Tuesday. So I haven't done any. I did do some sewing. I did start quilting one of my charity quilts that I showed you last week, the green and black one. I started quilting that one. It's on my machine. It's almost done. And I just need to get the binding ready for that. So I did do some other sewing other than retreat. And I'll have a retreat video uploaded. I did not record a whole lot at retreat because I was trying to get some projects done. So if you want to know what I worked on at retreat, watch that video when I get it uploaded. Hopefully, I don't know if it's going to be this week or if it'll be next week like my Sunday and Monday uploads. So, next thing on my list, I did find the other Benartex kit. It was the winter 2017-2018, so it came out around January of this year, and it is actually pansies. It's kind of got purple colors to it. They don't have like the colors all listed here. I do like that on the cover they're having us make this little butterflies out of them, so that would be really pretty. And I'll just show you again some of these fabrics. So let me grab a board here just to show a few of them. I'm not going to try to show you all of them. And last week I couldn't find all of the other one, this one that I'm showing you now. So we've got a lot of solid prints. These are mostly greens and purples, and then the prints that include green, purple, and then some off-white background. So these are just some of the solid fabrics that are included in the pack. It's called Pansy Noir. It's enhanced with metallic gold. And so then they have quite a few solids, and then here is one that has some of the metallic golds in it. I really like Benartex fabrics when they add the gold detailing in. And then here's another one where it's with the purple and some metallic. It's very pretty. And then this is some of the pansy prints here. So let me put a few more on my display board here. Because I have been so busy, I have not had time to work on the actual projects for these, or any projects for these. Sometimes I use Benartex recommended projects, and then other times I use my own. So that's one stack of fabrics, and I will, I'm creating a mess, so I will fix that later. But these fabrics are beautiful. So if you like purple greens, this is a really pretty pack of fabrics. These next ones are awesome. So here's the first two, and then the other ones. And then I think they got some other prints in here. Let me show you one more set of prints. And I'm trying to show them to you with some of the background included, where they change colors because they look totally different in the other backgrounds. So here's the last 5. Hopefully they don't fall. Yep, that one fell. We'll get it later. But I just want to show you the difference between the purple background and a black background, and how they are maneuvering the colors, adding in that metallic gold a little bit. And then this is the one that fell off. It's another one like this with a purple background. So those are the fabrics for that. And then I will go back and see if we have any additional people that have joined before I get started on our topic today. So, of course, my screen has scrolled all the way down. I think the last person I said was Sharon. No, yeah, Sharon says thumbs up, everyone. So now we got Cheryl Starling. Hi, Cheryl. Welcome to the live chat. She's from Southern Ontario. Got Linda Knowles. She says, hey, T and everyone. Hi, Linda. HH is here. Say, yes, I'm going to do this. Just trying to figure out what to make. And she's talking about the Quilting Marines quilt along, where he's asking people to send a block, and I'll make another announcement in this video for those that came in late. Cynthia Shade is here. She says, hello from Chicago. Met you at the Rosemont and on the video with the green top. Hi, Cynthia. Welcome. It's great for you to come chat with us tonight. Got Debbie Williams says, the Quilting Marine. Eric Oda is here. He's saying, hello, hello. Linda says that she caught this channel by accident. He is quite talented. So she's talking about the Quilting Marine again. We got Sylvia from Argentina. Welcome, Sylvia. And got people saying that they love the fabric. And some people are saying that they, Linda says she has a jelly roll and a layer cake of this fabric and she loves it. Got Eva Fuller here. Hi, Eva. Got Kiki Seymour here. Hi, all from Fort Myers, Florida. Welcome to the live chat. And Bonita wants to know, can you get back issues of Benertex? Yes, you can get back issues of Benertex. When you get, they might have a list online, but I know when you receive the packet, they also give you a list of the back issues that you can get for a slightly discounted price. But I think, let me look at it to make sure, because I think these back issues might be further back, but let me make sure. So it's not giving me the seasons here. It's giving me like volume 10, issue 3. So let me see what volume this book is. This is volume 22, issue 2. And they do have volume 21. No, volume 22, issue 1. So yes, you can go back and get the uploads because they got whatever they have available. They have a list of here that they give. And the last one that came out before this fall winter one is listed at the bottom. So you can probably get this same list from their website as well. I'm not sure if you have to be a member to get that, but that's where it comes. So you can try that if you like. Got Rosalind Lloyd here. Hi, Rosalind. Welcome to the live chat. Got Cheryl Wallace here saying hi, T, and all the viewers. Welcome, Cheryl. Got Susan Glenn's here from stormy Cincinnati. We got Jackie Bass. She says hi, all. Okay, so we have 48 people that I'm counting in the chat. So we are now going to go ahead and get into our topic. And the reason why I picked this topic is because behind the scenes, I am getting a lot of questions about picking sewing machines. Most of you all know that I did videos on how to purchase a long arm quilting machine. So this is kind of my take on home sewing machines, your more domestic sewing machines. These are not your long arm quilting machines. And the first thing that I always tell people when they're asking about what machine, they really want me to tell them what machine to buy. And I can't do that because I don't know anything about the new machines that are being sold. I can only tell you about my experience with the machines that I have and the actual company that I purchase my machine from, the actual manufacturers that I purchase my machine from. I can tell you if their base product is good. I can't tell you to go out and buy a specific sewing machine. So before I can even get into the features that you must have on a quilting machine or some things to think about having in your sewing machine, we first have to figure out what type of sewing machine we want to buy. So therefore, my first topic is going to be where to purchase a sewing machine. I know that the internet is very big and you can get a lot of discounts and bargains online when you want to buy a sewing machine. But if you're putting a lot of money into a sewing machine, or you're expecting this sewing machine to last you a long time because you can't afford to buy another one, I do not recommend buying a sewing machine online. I don't recommend you buying a machine from eBay. I don't recommend you buying a machine from Amazon, even if you've researched and got the best reviews on that particular machine. Because if you are a beginner, and that's who's mostly asking me these particular questions, you're going to need some kind of service for that machine. Maybe you need to know how to do something with that machine. And if you buy online, you're not going to get any assistance from that machine. So my recommendation is to use your local quilt stores. Now, you can also buy machines locally from places like Target, Walmart. You can even buy from Joann's. Now, there is a difference in the St. Louis area, and I'm not sure about Joann's across the country. We also have a company that's called Abbey Sewing Centers. They also have a area in Joann's. They are an actual quilt or sewing vac place that is a good place to buy in Joann's. But if you're buying a machine from Joann's store, that's not a place to buy your actual sewing machine. I just don't recommend it. My experience with Joann is that they hire people that might not know exactly everything there is to know about quilting. They're hiring somebody that can teach the very basics to teach quilting classes. And Joann's is really trying to push their product per se. So that is their goal. They want you to buy fabric for the projects that you're going to be making in any classes that they have. So I wouldn't personally buy a sewing machine from Joann's. Now, I said I would prefer you go to your local quilt stores. At this point, you have no idea what it is that you even want. The reason why I want you to go to your local quilt stores is because they have plenty machines that you can try out. They got every machine that they sell, you are able to sew on that machine. So you go in and you kind of tell them what kind of price range you're looking at, and then they can show you to the machines that have that particular, that are in that category of price range. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then you can bring in the types of fabrics that you like to sew on. If you like to sew on leather, or if you like making rag quilts, then I would recommend that you bring those type of fabrics so you can test that machine out sewing those type of fabrics. And that's why I recommend really going to your local quilt shops, because they got plenty of machines that you can try on. And you don't have to stop at one. Say one shop might be a person that sells baby lock machines, but another might be a Bernina shop. So I would recommend going to different specialty of quilt stores or sewing vac places that sell machines where you will get service. And I do have notes here because I want to make sure I don't forget to tell you stuff. So, because I get distracted between the chat box rolling over here and me trying to make sure I get you this information. Um, Another thing about the sewing centers or your quilt shops is that they may have older model machines. I get asked all the time, what type of machine am I using? People like it when they see me do demos. You cannot purchase these machines unless you find them used. And most times your sewing places will have the machines, the older machines, because people have traded them in. I'm not saying they're going to have the actual models that I have, but they will have some trade-ins that you can also consider purchasing. So if you go to the shop and they start showing you all of the new stuff, just ask them if they have any trade-ins, because they may not be put out. You may have to ask for those. Okay, so I think I'm done with where to purchase, and I'm just going to make sure that I am not missing anything in the comment box. We got Lauren King here from Dallas, Texas. Got Janice LaChance from Chatham, Ontario, Canada. Got Diane Rooney here. Hi, Diane. She says, hello, everyone. Got So Love here. She says, hi, T. Sorry for being late. You're never late. I appreciate you all's time. Got Ellen Doucette. I hope I said your name right. And she says, super 199 CDN singer at Walmart for simple 1/4 inch seam. So she's giving you recommendation for a sewing machine. Donna Meyer says, hello, T and everyone. Sharon says, I wouldn't buy a machine from Joann's. Their service department is notoriously awful. Got Michelle Thompson. She says, hi, T and everyone. Hi, Michelle. And Eric said, ironically, some of the used old machines work better than the new stuff. And I do agree with that. It's kind of like if you look at home appliances. I know my mom's refrigerator lasted our entire childhood and then some. And now when you get a refrigerator, they're telling you about a 5 to 10 year deal with it. So it's just amazing to me that products back in the day were made to last 30, 40 years, and now things are made to last 5 to 7 years. So I do agree with some of the older machines actually being a better purchase choice, especially if you know exactly what it is you're looking at. A lot of machines are not made of metal parts on the inside like they used to. Some of those parts have been replaced with plastic, and you have to be careful with that. That's why Bernina is one of the few companies that advertises that they still make the majority of their parts from metal. So that's why a lot of people like that particular company. Okay, so now we're going to get into what is your intent with this particular sewing machine. So you might need to do some research to see exactly how you plan to use this machine. Is it for straight piecing, or are you going to do applique? Are you wanting to do machine quilting on it? Is it for heavy duty sewing, or is it for just regular quilting piecing? Are you planning to take it to retreats? Please do your homework and become familiar with sewing machine brands. So I can't tell you to go out and buy a particular machine. I'm just going to name the brands that I am aware of that are being sold more frequently. If I miss anything, you can help me out in the chat box. But we have Baby Lock, Bernina, Brother, Elna, Husqvarna Viking, Janome, Sears, which is Kenmore, and I don't even know if they sell machines anymore, but my very first machine was a Kenmore. And then you've got Foff, and then Singer. Now, some of these companies are owned by other companies within these brackets that I just read to you about. So it's a lot of different sewing machine brands. So you really have to do your homework. No one person can tell you what machine to buy. Now, one other option that you can do is if you have a friend that's a quilter and she really loves her sewing machine, your friends are going to be your best people for recommendations. And then you can also perhaps test drive their machine before you consider purchasing it as well. Visit the company websites to see which ones have the machines that are in your price range, and check for reviews on Amazon and Consumer Reports. Now, I've been hearing a lot about some of the reviews on Amazon are being paid for reviews, whereas if you order something a company will contact you and say, if you buy this product and give us a good review, then we will give you your money back after the fact. And so some companies have been scamming, not actually giving people the money. Some people, if you give them a true review, they won't send you your money. So I'm telling you to be careful with Amazon reviews overall. So I would like to look at things like Consumer Reports. I just Google, and then I go into some of these other groups. You have, I'm forgetting what they're called, but sometimes you have like these boards, these quilting boards, and somebody may have a question and they might post it into the board. So if you Google a particular sewing machine and then put down recommendations or problems, then you might get a quilting board, and that would probably be more beneficial than Amazon reviews. And then you can always use Consumer Reports. So some machines are mechanical. Most of your lower level machines are going to be mechanical, and then you have some computers are half mechanical, half computerized, and then you've got the fully computerized sewing machine. So we'll discuss computerized features when I get to the features section, because that's what I'm going to be talking about. So that's what I use. But mechanical machines do have all of the basics that you will need, like multiple stitches. Although they're limited, you do have a few decorative stitches. You have a back stitch, and you have a mechanical needle threader on some of them, not all of them. So let's get into the cost of these. Before you spend your hard-earned money, take a realistic look at your quilting intent. We've already talked about that. Is this going to be a pastime for you, something that you're only going to quilt or sew twice a month? Or are you going to be somebody that wants to do it on a regular basis and really ready to get into it? So I'm looking at things dropping down on my phone. I told you I get distracted. Okay. So this will determine how much money you are willing to spend on a machine. And then you may want to consider if you are really going to get into quilting and know you're going to do it, if you've sewed before and know that you wanted to do this in your retirement years or whatever. You've got new family having, new babies, and you want to make everybody baby quilts. I would consider spending a little bit more money on your sewing machine. Now, when I got my long arm, I did not just go out and buy a long arm. While I was working my last few years, I determined that I wanted to get a long arm. So sometimes you have to make a plan and then start putting your money aside. And then when you put that money there, you just ignore that, knowing that it's going for an intended purpose. And that way you can increase your purchase amount if you find a machine that's a little bit more than what you thought you were going to spend. So that's how I actually got my long arm. I just kept putting money aside for it and refused to use it for anything else. So just note that your cheaper machines are not going to be as durable as some of those that cost a little bit more. So if you're getting a machine that's under, say, $200 for sure, just know that that machine is not going to be as dependable as a machine that might cost you $600. And we're talking about still your basic sewing machine. Now, your basic sewing machines, as I said, may have some computerization where you still have to be careful with oiling, shooting air, and that kind of thing. When machines started being computerized, that's when they didn't really want the users doing any of the oiling, because they wanted to make sure that you didn't accidentally oil your motherboard. So you have to be really careful with any kind of computerized sewing machines. Know where you're oiling. And then I do oil right up under my bobbin holder. I'm blocking the name of it right now, but the thing that holds the bobbin, I do put a drop of oil there, but I don't put oil anywhere else in my machine. I take it to the shop and do annual service on it so that they can oil it in places that I'm not supposed to be oiling. $600 to $1,500 basic machines, and they could be a lot more computerization on that, or it may even be all computerized. It just depends. You're going to get a little bit more sturdier, heavier sewing machine. You're going to feel the difference in the weight of machines that are under $600. They tend to be a little bit more light because they do not have a lot of traditional metal parts. You're going to have a lot of plastic in the housing. So yeah, so the more you pay for the machine, the more you're going to get. So for $1,500 to $3,000, those machines will start to have some sort of embroidery features available. Now, that doesn't mean that you get it. Like with Bernina, you have to be careful because Bernina will say that it's an embroidery machine, but then you've got to buy the extra embroidery attachments. Whereas Baby Lock, if you're buying it, you just get everything that comes with it in one package for a price. So you have to be careful with that. And then your over $3,000 machines, you're really into the high-level sewing machines, and that's where I have the Baby Lock Elissimo. This is the original one that came out, and when it first came out, I think it was about $5,000 or $6,000. I can't remember. But they advertised it as being the last machine that you'd have to buy, of course. And, you know, they had it where you can do computer upgrades and all of that. And then all of a sudden, they quit the upgrades and came out with the Destinies. And so now they're on Destiny 2. So there is no such thing as somebody telling you that this is going to be the last machine that you'll have to buy because you can get all the computer upgrades. Well, there are certain things that the Destiny does that they could have upgraded my Elissimo, but they did not. So I am at this point where I'm not buying any new machines until these machines actually go out that I currently have. So that's where I am with the sewing machine. So just be careful with that. So I'm going to go back through the chat box because I saw it still had some information. And next up, we're going to be talking about the actual sewing machine features. But before I get to that, let me make sure I got everyone's comments out of the chat box. Darlene said, check the quilting shows. Feel comfortable talking to the folks in attendance. Eric says, well, look at the featherweights. Some of them are ancient, but still stitched like they've never been used. They were made with 100% metal parts, and you can still get those parts today because they were all very basic parts. There were no specialty parts per se. And so your machinists were able to produce those parts very easily. So I do have a featherweight as well. I need to use my featherweight a little more. I'm just used to sewing with my other machines, but I really do need to use my featherweight. I actually love it. Got Teresa Connor here. Hi, Teresa. Sharon says, can't beat those old singers. We should all have vintage sewing machines. And you are absolutely correct. If those machines that were made in 1950s, 1930s are still working, then those ideally are the machines to get. The problem is that they're not reproducing those anymore, and they are hard to get. So you have to like go to garage sales, estate sales, sometimes you might be lucky and find one in a flea market, but your best bet probably would be an estate sale where they wouldn't think that anybody wanted it because it was so old. Every once in a while, you can Google online and find them, and then you will have to pay the base price, which could be anywhere starting at $300, depending on supply and demand and the shape of the decals on the machine. How well the decals are still intact. And Darlene saying also can test drive machines at quilt shows. Let's see, I think I read that one. If you live in Northern Virginia, there is a 3-day quilt show at the Dooley's Expo this coming weekend. That's from Darlene. Trisha says, Pattern Review website has good machine reviews. Thank you, Trisha, for that. And Phyllis Garner is here. She's saying hello, Tia, and everybody. Hi, Phyllis. Cindy is here from Canada, Northern Ontario. She says hugs and kisses. Hi, Cindy. Welcome to the chat. Sharon is, Sharon says Pattern Review is a good site. I don't think that I've been on that site, or if I did, I didn't know I was there because I Google a lot of things and then I just go where I go to a few different sites and compare information. Benita, is this you as Ron Nance? We have Ron Nance. I have a 1955 American Home Brother sewing machine that was given to me. A little rehab work, and I was able to get it working. And Donna Myers is telling everybody the thumbs up. So, and Cindy is saying she has an old 301A Singer and a Sears Kenmore. Nothing modern going on here, laughing out loud, but they work well. And I even go to, like, sometimes I have quilting friends where they may have had parents that were quilting. I actually bought an old machine from someone's parent that was an old metal machine, and it actually works. I just don't use it. But it was like such a cheap price, like $30, that I didn't want to let it just go into the trash. You know, I wanted to make sure that if I needed a good old machine that I had one. So, yeah, so check out estate sales especially. So now we're going to go ahead. Ron Nance say, oh, no, Benita, not Benita. Okay, I was just checking because sometimes Benita has issues with getting her online site to stay up. So thank you. Okay, so sewing machine features that most quilters would like. And again, most of these are going to be on your computerized sewing machines, but some of your mechanical machines may have a mechanical feature of this as well. So, comes with quilting presser feet, or they can be added. Now, I know Bernina will give you your base machine and give you a generic foot, and then you have to purchase all of your feet from them. So be careful when you are purchasing something and looking at the price. Ask them what type of feet are going to be included with the sewing machine. Not that you're not going to buy it if they don't come with that, but at least you know what the added cost is going to be should you have to purchase all of your pieces. Now, I'm just holding up pieces from my Elagio sewing machine. I actually use all of these features. Other than the 1/4 inch foot, when I do these other things I'm talking about, I actually use my Singer XL 1000 because that's my oldest machine that I'm the most comfortable with. So that's what I do all of the other things that I'm going to tell you about. So 1/4 inch foot, of course. So I don't have anything to show you this, but this is your 1/4 inch foot. And this part of the foot right here, I would line up my fabric, and that's how I know I'm sewing my accurate 1/4 inch seam from the center point in this needle. And notice that this is a pinpoint hole. So I cannot do any zigzagging with this. If you do, you're going to break your needle. So I do like the pinpoint whenever I'm piecing because it just keeps it so that I don't have a whole lot of extra space in there. Next foot I like to use is an open toe foot. And I have this one here. Now, sometimes when you start getting these accessories, some of your feet are plastic. And I don't like a plastic open toe foot. I like the metal ones because they are heavier and they actually sit on top of the fabric. And I actually use my open toe foot when I'm actually zigzagging, when I'm paper piecing. So I really like this because I can see inside. Some of your open toe feet come with a plastic in here where it's closed in. I just take a pair of tweezers and I just pull that right on out. I don't want the plastic hindering my vision. So that's what was in this little recessed area here. You can see where it's got those little grooves. I pull that plastic piece out. I never keep the pieces inside, the plastic inside of that metal foot like that. Walking foot or your even feed foot. Now, some machines I know like Foth and maybe Bernina's, they have it already built in with the feed dog, so you don't necessarily have to use an actual walking foot. And some walking foot, remember, are going to look different than what I'm showing you based on the manufacturing. But this little arm here goes around the up and down bar where you hook in your needle. So this goes on your needle bar when you put it on your sewing machine. And then as it's going, you can see the feet moving up and down. And what this is supposed to do is make sure that when you're quilting that your 3 layers are all moving evenly. Now, on my Singer, it did not like the walking foot. I still had puckers. I would stitch one direction, then I would go back and stitch the other direction. I would still have some puckering happening. For some reason, it didn't work on my machine. So it works better with some brands over others. Just let me say that. And I'm not sure if it's all Singers or just the ones that I have. So be careful with the walking foots. I actually don't even use them anymore. Even when I was quilting on my home machine, I just stopped using them, and I would just free motion quilt everything that I was quilting. And if I was doing some feed dog up quilting where it wasn't free motion, I would just use my open toe foot so that I can see inside. My next foot is the more darning foot or your quilting foot. And I'm showing you this one in a plastic because these are mostly in metal. But if you can get one in a plastic, I really like it, because what I end up doing is where you can see the red lines, I cut that out so that I can open it up and see all the way through. So on my one that I use for my Singer, I have never used this one on my Elagio, but on my Singer, I actually cut that opening out so that I could see when I'm going, you know, the different directions when I'm doing free motion quilting. And then my last foot, and I see the comment section is still rolling. I'll do my last foot and then I'll go to the comments. Is any type of foot. I'm going to show you the back of this. You can see, hopefully, there's this little kick in here. If you can see it right here. It's like an edge guiding foot. And I like to use these when I want to stitch along the edge of something. And I want to make sure that it stays in the same position. And then if you notice, the needle hole is wide. So I can adjust my needle based on where that bar is as to how close I want to stitch along the edge of something. Now I brought my very used backpack just to show you when I'm doing straps. Is when I really love to do this, when I'm putting pockets on top for my tote bags. I like to use the edge stitching foot. And this is what you can do. And see how nice and straight those lines are. It's because I kept the edge of my fabric up against that groove. And then here on the pocket, you can see it again. If I just did this without any type of edging foot, then it wouldn't be as straight as what you're seeing here. So your feet have a purpose. These are the ones that I use on a regular basis. So these are my go-to ones that I switch out. Who I use the most would be my 1/4 inch foot and my open toe foot. Sandra says, hi y'all. I was watching on phone but couldn't see chat. Suited to iPads. Love this topic. Thank you, Sandra. Darlene says, Bernina is expensive, especially when you have to purchase the various feet, etc. Eric says, Bernina is expensive, but they are great machines. And that's what I've been told. If you get a Bernina, you got a machine that's a workhorse. And what I've been told is they're one of the best today. They're not the only one that's the best, but they are one of the best over some other brands. They are very pricey. And Darlene says, yes, I have 2 machines. Older is hard to get parts. And says, do you use the edge foot for top stitching? That's Eric asking that question. Yes, and that's exactly what it is, because when you're doing your strap, that is actual top stitching on your strap. So hopefully I answered your question, Eric. Kathy Hopkins says, how do you feel about the metal guard on the 1/4 inch foot? You know, I had one of those at one point and just never got used to that. And so I just used the regular 1/4 inch. But if that's what you need to keep you lined up, because it does extend a little bit beyond the foot, then I'd say go for it. Sharon is asking, Darlene, you might find feet on eBay. Or she's telling Darlene that. We got Darcene Swartz here. She says, hi, I've never watched a live instruction video before. You're doing a great job. I will be regular. Well, thank you. Welcome to our group. Susan says she loves her Janome, and Sharon says, oh, she gave Darcene a big heart. Cheryl says, hey, y'all, and she's waving. Okay. Brian says, have a Bernina, and it comes with about 8 feet. Same with both of my brother machines and my baby lock. And she's never made a quilt before, so she's so excited. Well, welcome. Taylor says, good information, T. Thank you. Liz says, yes, Susan, I have a Janome, and it is a workhorse. And I've been hearing people that say they love their Berninas, Janome, and Fofs. And I have not owned one of those machines yet. So if I do decide to get a machine, I think first I'm going to try the Bernina first, because I got so many local dealers here, and I don't even know where a Fof dealer is. I think Fof, Husqvarna, Viking, and Singer are all owned, and I'd have to go either to a Joann store or to the sewing center to actually buy that, because they're not in our quilt shops. Okay, so we've got the feet. I'm going to be marking these things off. One of my favorite things is when I do have to use it is an automatic thread cutter. Now, a lot of you all know that I do chain piecing. And if you don't know what chain piecing is, what Bonnie Hunter calls leaders and enders. So I never hardly ever cut my thread anyway. But sometimes you may have to, and then it's just nice to be able to push a button to just cut the thread. It cuts the thread, and then it also lifts the presser foot so you can take your fabric from under it. So it kind of combines two things at one. You also can get an automatic needle threader. Now, some mechanical or semi-computerized machines also have a needle threader. It may be more mechanical. On my Elagio, even though it's a computerized machine, my needle threader is manual. I have to actually pull the lever down to make it go through the needle. Whereas on the Elissimo over here, I put it into the track for it to thread, and then I press a button, it goes through and threads the needle. So it just depends on your machine. Both of them work great. It's wonderful not to have to try to figure out how to get the thread into the hole. So that's pretty cool. Another one of my favorite options is the needle up and down position. Sometimes you need to have a choice when your needle is going to stay down in your fabric, especially if you're pivoting around corners. You want to have the feature of having your needle down. On both of my machines, I can set my needle to where it can stay up, or I can set it where it can stay down. If you don't have this feature on your machine, whenever you start stopping, sometimes your needle may stop in the up position, sometimes it might stop in the bottom position, and then a lot of times it's going to stop where it's in that middle position. So you have no control over where the needle will stop. And sometimes that's convenient depending on what type of sewing you are doing. A button that I used to use a lot on my Singer XL1000 was the start and stop button. When you have a machine that has a start and stop button, most of them have a different button, a different plug-in for your power, and then a different plug-in for your foot pedal. And then that way you could sew without even having to use your foot pedal. What's great about that? If you go on retreat and you didn't use my retreat checklist and you left your presser foot at home, you might have the other card if you don't have them tied up together, because they are separate cards. So you got a second chance at having your card. I also like to use the start and stop button when I'm winding bobbins, because then I don't have to press the presser foot. Whenever it stops, then I know that it's time for me to switch it out and do another bobbin. Easy access reverse stitch. Reverse button. On old machines, your reverse button was kind of like a lever, and you had to hold it down and then it would go back in reverse. Well, when you do a button with a computerized machine that does reverse stitching, you press the button, it automatically goes and stitches backwards about 2 or 3 stitches, and then it comes back forward for you. So you don't have to hold the lever down and even use your presser foot. It just does it automatically for you. Sewing speed adjustment button. Sometimes you want to increase your speed, and then say if you're going around a curve, like if you're satin stitching around a curve, maybe you might want to slow it down. It's very easy for you to adjust the speed if you have a speed lever on your face of your machine, as compared to having to go over to the computerized screen to open up the feature to adjust it. So I do like having a speed adjustment on the actual machine head. If you're going to be machine quilting bed-size quilts, one of your features may be that you need to get a wider throat. Your basic sewing machines may come about 6 inches to 8 inches of space, and they have other machines that are geared for quilting quilts that might have a space up to 15, 18 inches of space. It just depends on which model you're looking at. That machine is also probably going to be one or two things. It's going to be a very base machine where it's used just mostly for piecing and quilting. And then on the other extreme, it could cost you a lot more because it's got all of the other features as well as having the wider throat space. And I'm just going to stop here and see what's going on in the comment section. It's rolling pretty much. But you guys are really good with talking to each other too, so. And I can't remember the last comment I read. Sharon says she thinks she's had 17 machines, maybe 18 or 19, but don't tell my hubby. And Darlene says she do like the automatic cutting and the needle down. I got people saying the older fall wonderful. Susan saying I've never had a problem with mine, getting ready to take it in for cleaning checkup. And Eric is asking if anyone have a serger and what are they used for. I do have a serger, and I used to use it a lot when I was making clothing. I have seen some things where they're making very simple strip quilts where people are using them to do it on the serger, where you have all 3 layers, your top, back, and batting is all being sewn together in the strips. So I have seen that. It's kind of like a quilt as you go. But other than that, I don't use my serger, and I haven't used my serger in years. Sharon says when she gets a new machine, she hides it in plain sight. That's funny. Trisha says she used serger for garment sewing, mainly to finish seams or finish edges for hems. I love my serger. And I see some other talking going on, so I'm trying to bypass some of those. But Lauren King says she uses a serger for making pillowcases. Deborah Rose says, thank you, T. This is an on-time topic for me. I'm researching machines now, and it has been an eye-opener looking at features and cost. Eric says, I see. Okay, I don't need a serger. More money for fabric. Okay. And then we've got Ellen that says great. Elaine that says great tea information on the feet. Nancy says she uses her serger for doll making clothes. Sergers are situational for sure, Eric. Okay. So, other features. And I probably have another 8 or so. I can't remember. But uniformity and high quality stitches. And that's why you want to go in and test drive actual machines. You don't want to just take someone's word for it, or because it's new, you're going to assume that it's got a great stitch. If you've got a lower line machine, maybe it doesn't have a great stitch. Maybe it was never designed for it to have a great stitch. It was just something to make do with. So please check the stitching on any machine that you purchase. And that's another reason I don't recommend purchasing anything online. If you buy a machine that has a very bad stitch quality, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't change that. There's no amount of tweaking if it just wasn't there in the first place. Next feature is electronic button features instead of dials and levers. Like I said, when the old machines, when you wanted to backstitch, you had to press the lever. More of your electronic buttons, when you press them, they automatically change, so you don't have to worry about it. On the flip side, if everything is electronic, just know that if your motherboard goes out, it's going to be expensive to repair, or, you know, things can go haywire with computers. Now, fortunately for me, on my 4 computerized machines, I haven't had any problems with any of my electronics. One of the nice things on the computerized, especially embroidery style machines, is that you get a lot of decorative stitches with those machines. And sometimes we don't use decorative stitches a lot. And at one time I was making purses where I was just using a certain size square. And then when I quilted it to my batting, I would use the different decorative stitching with variegated polyester thread to make them real pretty. And so one thing that I do when I'm taking out pins before, so I don't get stuck here, one of the things I do is sometimes I would make a little test sample of stitches, but then I didn't want all of those pieces just laying around. So I actually make like my little needle cases out of them. But I have this one here that I just did some of the decorative stitching so I would know what they look like. These were all on my Singer XL 1000. And then on the front, I just made this little cover here, put my little name on it. And then on the inside, and this was when I first got the machine, I also have some different decorative stitches here. And then I even went ahead and did one panel where I had some free motion just to see what it would do when I first got the machine. And at this point, I probably didn't even know how to machine free motion quilt very well when I got that machine, because it was one of my first. But you can